think it's really scary.
A lot of the girls are getting their guy friends to walk them around.
No more headphones when I walk at night.
A campus living in fear as police hunt a Saanich sex predator.
We are ignoring nothing.
An island teacher calls a Muslim student Taliban who might blow everything up. But did he get away with a slap on the wrist?
Don't really think this person is qualified to be a teacher.
Also tonight, the push to find a vaccine for the Zika virus.
CTV News at 6 with Andrew Johnson.
Good evening. His face has been plastered on newscasts, websites, and Facebook feeds, but so far, the man suspected in a sex attack in Saanich continues to elude police. It happened Wednesday night. It was frightening, violent, and as CTV's Chandler Grieve shows us, the latest in a string of crimes that could all be related.
His image is now everywhere, but a man who police believe is behind Wednesday night's violent sexual attack is still on the loose.
I feel so uneasy walking around the streets right now.
A lot scary because it's both sexually and he will also take your money. So
Just before 8 o'clock Wednesday evening, police say this man banged on the door of a ground floor suite. 2 international students from UVic were inside. Startled, they opened the door only to be the victims of a sexual assault. The perp then walked the victims to a nearby bank and forced the women to withdraw cash. Police won't say if he had a weapon. Despite dozens of tips, Saanich PD is still searching for a significant lead.
We've applied lots of resources to this, and again, we have an entire division of detectives that are working at nothing else other than this.
It is possible police are dealing with a criminal gaining confidence. Since December, there have been 14 break-ins along the Shelbourne corridor. The 2 highlighted in red involved ground floor suites rented by young women. There have also been reports of a man flashing women at bus stops along Shelbourne Street. And on Tuesday night near Mount Doug High, a woman reported being followed and grabbed by a man. A day later, Wednesday's disturbing sexual assault on Church Street.
We have not made a formal linkage as of yet, but we are ignoring nothing.
And neither is the University of Victoria. Warnings have been plastered around campus.
The girls seem a little freaked out. It's not something that should be going on around a university.
Very scary. I feel horrible for the people that had to go through that. Avoid going out at nights.
In September, a UVic student was sexually assaulted on campus. That attack remains unsolved. The Student Society is encouraging peers to use all available options.
If you look on the back of your student ID card, you'll find campus security in the Safe Walk program, and you can just give them a call. And also to always remember that if you are hopping on a bus and you're not feeling comfortable about the walk that you have, you can talk to your bus driver and they'll get you as close as possible to your front door.
Saanich police say as many as 25 officers are on the case, canvassing a neighborhood that remains on edge. Chandler Grieve, CTV News, Saanich.
Homes were evacuated and neighbors were warned to take cover after shots were fired in Campbell River this afternoon. Dozens of police surrounded a home with a distraught man inside. CTV's Gord Kurbis reports.
Heavily armored police vehicles arrive in a Campbell River neighborhood where a routine call is turning into a serious situation.
To my knowledge, there's one person in the house at this time. There are no hostages, and our emergency response team has the area contained.
Officers surround a home in the 1800 block of Glen Eagle Drive around 9 a.m. after they came to check on a man inside.
Upon arriving at the scene, shots were heard, and the general duty members established a containment of the area and called in our emergency response team.
Brian Burkmore was in the neighborhood to do some work when he noticed police vehicles pouring into the area.
Drove down as soon as they started first pulling up in there, and then we walked down there, and then you heard a pow, like a 22 or something like that, then a bang bomb. It seemed like they were blowing out a window or something.
Officers from as far away as Nanaimo are responding, helping to evacuate nearby homes and deal with the man who has barricaded himself with a weapon.
People within the residential area have been evacuated, the ones that can safely be removed, and instruction has been given to people that cannot safely be removed from their homes to stay back in the back of their homes in a safe area.
Negotiators did have contact with the man, but a few hours into the situation, it all changed.
And recently the communication ended.
We have confirmed that the occupant inside the residence did suffer a gunshot wound, self-inflicted, and is now deceased.
Police wouldn't confirm if anyone else was in the home when the incident was beginning.
At this point, we're not going to release any particulars of the individual in the residence. As you can imagine, this situation is just occurring, and we need to make sure that all parties are notified of what has happened.
Police say there may be further information released in the coming days. Gord Kurbis, CTV News, Campbell River.
A Souk teacher is being called insensitive, intolerant, and Islamophobic. This after the educator stood up in front of a full classroom and called a Muslim high school student a Taliban. CTV's Scott Cunningham has more.
At Edward Milne School, a Muslim student was taught a lesson not on the curriculum.
I was surprised, disappointed, and frankly shocked.
The grade 11 girl of Middle Eastern descent was subjected to a racial onslaught, and the perpetrator, her teacher. According to reports, educator Matthew Sean Pell called a student a Taliban in 2014, said, "Don't make her angry, otherwise she will bomb you, and she's going to blow everything up."
How troubling is this to you?
I think all of us are very concerned.
An anti-racism instructor says the teacher's outburst is deplorable.
Perhaps fear, ignorance, and ultimately Islamophobia in terms of how people have these stereotypes and then find ways in which it's totally unacceptable to express that.
Allowed to continue his work, the teacher now educating students at Colwood's new Royal Bay Secondary.
Don't really think this person is qualified to be a teacher if they're not sensitive to all the people that are in Canada.
I think that's ridiculous, honestly.
It's inappropriate. I would never imagine that a teacher would say something like that.
An investigation has ruled Pell must take sensitivity training. Some say it's not enough. The district is standing behind Matthew Pell.
This teacher has admitted his mistake. He's accepted the consequences for this. Certainly nothing that the school district would ever condone. Discipline has been applied.
Many are calling for the teacher's termination. But according to the district and the Commissioner for Teacher Regulation, the punishment here fits the crime. Scott Cunningham, CTV News, Souk.
It's a statistic you might find staggering. Victoria now has more medical marijuana dispensaries than Starbucks stores. It is a booming industry that can trace its birth to the Victoria Cannabis Buyers Club, which its founder says is the world's oldest compassion club. And this weekend it turns 20. Robert Buffum reports.
I made sure I had no pictures of me selling pot or pot in my van.
Ted Smith marvels at how much has changed in 2 decades as an activist for medical pot.
It's been phenomenal to see it as it's come so far.
Smith founded the Victoria Cannabis Buyers Club, what he calls the oldest compassion club in the world, and one that had modest beginnings.
Yeah, we changed the course of medical marijuana.
Smith started out by selling pot from this van 20 years ago this weekend.
Living in my van, I just got a pager and a pamphlet and started to meet patients.
The rest, as they say, is history. There are now over 20 storefront dispensaries in Victoria alone, and the federal government is on the cusp of legalizing recreational marijuana.
Ted Smith has given almost his entire adult life to this cause.
The current president of the Buyers Club says the medical pot movement owes plenty to Smith for championing a cause for years, often through court battles, most notably the recent Supreme Court of Canada decision that vindicated the club's former head baker, Owen Smith, and supported all patients' rights to access edible pot like cookies.
I'm amazed that we've been able to do this for 20 years and come so far. It's not been easy. Many people have gone to jail, but we're almost at the finish line.
A goal focused on legalizing medical marijuana at storefronts, but also one that coincides with the federal government's pledge to legalize recreational pot, something a recent CIBC report estimates will generate $5 billion in tax revenue.
This is the first time in a long time that we see a new commodity market forming. There is a great potential windfall for not only savings but tax revenue of legalized cannabis.
Smith says for him it's never been about the money. His energy nowadays focused on palliative care for his partner, who relies on cannabis to manage the pain from her cancer. But he says after 2 decades of fighting for patients like her, the end is nearly in sight.
Like a whole new day has dawned for many of us. Our work's not over yet, but my God, you know, the hard slugging is gone. And
Smith's next victory could come when Victoria's council regulates its pot shops. The city will be seeking the public's feedback on those plans next month. Robert Buffin, CTV News, Victoria.
There's finally an answer to a burning question in Victoria: what to do with the main fire hall. City staff say tear it down. It makes more sense to build a new one than upgrade the old one. Fire Station 1 is 55 years old and isn't likely to withstand a major earthquake. A renovation and expansion would cost upwards of $23 million and would only extend its lifespan by 10 to 15 years. A new facility would cost about $30 million but would last for 75 years. The city owns the property on Yates and a neighboring lot that houses a temporary homeless shelter. But the mayor says there are other options as well.
We've got 2 pieces of property. And the private sector also has lots of property. We're open to relocating the fire hall depending on what comes forward. So we're taking a really creative approach, looking to minimize the cost to taxpayers, not looking to the federal government for grants because we've got other things we can do with that. So the outside-the-box creative approach is new, and we need a new fire hall.
The report going to council recommends using the city's debt reduction reserve to pay for the building, so there would be no extra cost to taxpayers. Council will begin discussing the recommendations next week. The Comox Valley Regional District has issued a boil water advisory. The CVRD says the intense amount of rain over the past 2 days has caused high turbidity levels in Comox Lake and the Puntledge River. All users of the Comox Valley water system should boil their drinking water for 1 minute at a rolling boil. For more information on the boil water advisory, go to the links section of our website. Staff members have offered their final goodbyes in the last ever run of the Nanaimo Daily News. Employees turned the pages on 141 years of news gathering in the Harbour City this afternoon. And keeping with publishing traditions, the Daily News printed a 30 on the cover, which is an old-time way of ending a news article or story. Staff say the publication was more than a newspaper, it was a member of the community. And in its final issue, wrote the mark made by the Daily News on Nanaimo is permanent. Declining ad revenue is being blamed for the closure. More than a dozen union members will be affected. Thousands of trips to the Caribbean and Mexico are being canceled as the Zika virus continues to devastate that region. Local governments are doing what they can to kill the mosquitoes that carry the virus. Already 4 cases have been confirmed in Canada. And now Health Canada says mosquitoes may not be the only way the disease is spreading. The rest of the story in 60 seconds.